What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS. Have you ever wondered, can you communicate directly with spirit guides, teachers, or non-physical consciousness, or even our higher selves? What would they tell us? My name is Kevin Moore, and since 2015, I started to practice a form of communication which is termed channeling. I have been interviewing experts on my talk show to find out, does life continue after we die? And can we communicate with those that have crossed over? With each expert I spoke to, they all had different ideas. Is there knowledge from the past which could be shared with the present moment? So I thought, why not just speak to the non-physical world directly through channelers around the world? And that's what I set out to do. They call us channelers will take the viewers on a journey into the phenomena known as channeling. And my main goal with this docuseries is to bring a new understanding and awareness to channeling by looking within ourselves and asking, is it truly possible that we can all use this innate ability?
I'm Erin Lyons. I am a universal channel, psychic healer, and sacred business and wealth coach based in New York City.
Erin, I am so happy to have you on. I really am. This is going to be a really interesting interview. Sometimes I get people that just book on like yourselves, and you never quite know, the background, and, you don't always get to speak to them to begin with, and just chatting to you off air and understanding what you're doing. It's really my hat's off to you. And this is going to help so many people. So I think to begin with, right, I'm going to get a bit into your background, but I want to kind of get into your background of your soul background. Where do you come from a soul perspective?
Oh, way to just kick things
I
off.
know.
So I have multiple higher galactic aspects, which include the Arcturians, if you guys are familiar, the 11th dimensional Lyran collective, and also a little bit of Syrian. But my soul is actually from a different universe than this one. So my soul split off from source and has been incarnating for, eons, really, as the multiversal council of light explains it to me. And my soul came in through the angelic kingdom. And that's a whole other story, but yeah.
Okay. And if I said to you, what do you channel? What do you do? How would you sum that up?
So I pretty much channel any and everything because everything is consciousness and has a consciousness. Typically, I do work with beings and guides who are of a fifth dimensional frequency and above, but I still work with fourth dimensional beings such as fairies who are elemental or sometimes ancestors and things of that nature where maybe they haven't fully crossed over. I also channel entire universes, and I do cool things like channel the consciousness of money or channel the consciousness of cryptocurrencies and computers and just everything.
Well, thank you very much for that. Fascinating background. So let's actually go to your earthly background, right? So you're from Detroit and currently in New York. That's where your practice is as well. So if you went back to childhood, what do you think was different about your childhood in some respects to when, maybe that you can look back and say, you know what, at that age, I think I was picking up on something.
Hmm. So I think what really made things interesting for me was having a father who was Muslim and a mother who was Christian Baptist. So I can remember being 5 years old and my dad asking me, like, are you going to be Christian or Muslim? Like, pick something. And I'm like, I just want to be a good person. So I always had this sense that there was something more. And even from that young age, I became a seeker, just on this search of what was the truth. And that led me into pretty much studying every school of thought, every religion you can think of, and ultimately coming to my own understanding. So I would say I was very inquisitive from a very young age.
Oh, I would say so. And I think you always felt a connection with Jesus, though. It wasn't so much the structure of the church in a sense. It was just that sort of spiritual, deeper connection with the teachings.
I would sit in church and I could just feel that something was not right. The whole thing was a bit weird and culty to me. And I'm not sure if you've ever been inside of a Christian Baptist church. It can also be quite animated, just a lot. And so all of that energy would just be so overwhelming for me. However, the connection to Jesus or Yeshua, I know there's so many names for him. I did feel that presence and that connection from a young age. And even if I opened a Bible, I could feel the communication starting to happen.
Yeah, because some of these churches in America, I'm from the UK, they are huge.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and I can imagine the energy in there. I can imagine it's a great experience, to be honest with you. But yes, it's very different to where I'm from. So you studied, I believe, you got a financial degree at around 19, was it? You completed that?
So no, I was 21 when
Okay.
I graduated. So university here is 4 years. So yes, I graduated in 2016 with my finance degree.
Excellent. So where did you go from there? What was it where did that financial degree inspire you to go? And what was you really seeking at the time, do you think?
I think, well, I know because I had just gone through a series of intense spiritual initiations and awakenings. I knew that I was here to be a spiritual teacher, but I didn't really know how everything was going to unfold. So it actually left me in a bit of a confused state. I'm like, do I shave my head and move to India and build an ashram, or what do I do? But the guidance that I was actually was receiving was, there's a bigger purpose for this. And it was my dream to become a stockbroker and work on Wall Street, and truly understanding that I was the creator of my reality. I think that's why that particular lane stood out to me, because I wanted to do something that felt impossible for me, but something where I could really put the manifestation muscle to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should just say, going back to your father, when you mentioned he was Muslim, that was your biological father.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which you had and are still in contact with. And I can imagine that, that it's a fine line in a sense to sort of separate the religious side from that, daughter-father relationship in a sense.
Yes. And, a huge part of my healing journey was understanding, why I chose certain parents and the whole setup and what needed to be activated within me to ultimately be in this place to do this work.
Yeah, that is God, man. Yeah, you chose a difficult path in a sense, right? But mum's been very supportive of what you're doing, and you've got your other family there as well. And it's all worked out beautifully because you've walked your truth in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think sometimes we assume that people won't accept this truth and they won't understand. But I was actually surprised that my immediate family, in terms of my mom, my sister, my stepdad, although they might not understand exactly what it is that I do, they have been so supportive, and they just continue to support me. So I'm really blessed
That's
in that way.
beautiful. No, that is so beautiful. That is. So let's go back to the sort of early 20s. You're a woman. You're a woman of color, and you're going into the financial services, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm sure your mum would have said to what are you doing, right?
Oh, they thought I was crazy. I mean, I literally remember being in the kitchen one day and I'm like, I'm moving to New York and I'm going to be a stockbroker. And they looked at me and we think you just think of these things and you just think they're going to happen.
Right.
But of course, that was from their own
Yep.
level of unconsciousness. And I understood that.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. But you did it, and you did it really well as well. Now, let's just go to that time. Because let's just also say you really enjoyed this job as well. Working in the financial services, a wealth advisor within Wall Street. Just tell us a bit of the companies you work with. And yeah, this is something that you really had a passion for.
Absolutely. So for me, it was really less about the numbers and that I love math or the markets. It was more so that it gave me an opportunity to be really entrepreneurial, to create an unlimited income, to attract clients. So I attracted a lot of pro athletes, a few celebrities, Fortune 500 CEOs, that type of thing. It was just exciting. And so coming through the intense spiritual awakenings that I had, I really was just in this mindset of like, I really want to enjoy the game of life. And that's why that career path was so great for me, because it gave me an opportunity to be the creator of my reality.
That is so true. And I know that everything that you've gained from those years in New York, you've definitely brought with you in the work that you're doing now. So in a sense, nothing was wasted. This was all meant to be. You can look back now and say, you know what, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was supposed to be doing.
Yes, so synchronistic. And a lot of the work that I do now is centered around prosperity consciousness, because I do find that that's where many people in their ascension process, where they're getting stuck as it pertains to money and abundance. And even the fact that a lot of these old world systems are crumbling, and it's just helping people make peace with the past really is a huge part of the healing process as well. But looking back, everything happened perfectly. And I'm so happy that I followed my heart, even though it didn't make sense. And I couldn't understand why the universe wanted me to work in finance and not be a spiritual teacher at that time, per se. It gave me a profound sense of just real world experiences that people, that you deal with in this reality.
Do you think that gift that you had, and we've all, we're all spiritual, we've all got the ability to tune in, right? But you're just more
Mhm.
open to it, and you've just, fine tuned it as well. But do you think that that ability was helping you in your job back in the day, in the sense that you were making decisions that I guess were intuitive, but were also definitely switched on from some other place?
100%. I mean, I would literally be at work just channeling and getting so many downloads, and just can hear my guides in my head. And I definitely think that it enabled me to be successful, because I wasn't seeing through the lens of just my lower 3D earth self. I was operating from my higher self, because I could hear my higher self, because I could hear angelic beings and galactic beings and
Right.
source quite literally helping me navigate certain things that would have otherwise been very challenging, especially as a woman of color.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, you're highly intelligent to be able to do that type of job as well, right? But yeah, I'm sure that was helping. I'm sure it was, right? Um, so at that time, I'm guessing that you still got your other foot in one foot in the career that you had,
Hmm.
and you're sort of
Hmm.
still, consuming or watching other content within this field. And I know that one of the bits of content that you were into as well near your time of progressing into your next career path was channeling Eric. And
Hmm.
so just tell kind of talk us and walk us through how how you
Okay.
changed it to what you're doing now.
So, well, actually, I had already been obsessed with other channelers secretly when I was like still in the spiritual closet for years, even before I stepped into this work. I could never quite see how the transition was going to happen. It just, that leap just never made sense to me. So when I was still in college, 19, a sophomore, I started reading, these types of books like Conversations with uh, God by Neil Donald Walsh. And then I ended up stumbling into My Son Eric and the Afterlife. And then maybe a year or two later, I realized there was like a podcast for that book. And then so I would just binge watch instead of like a normal girl in her early 20s going out on a Friday night. I just wanted to stay in and like binge watch other channels. So the actual transition came years later. So I had been keeping this to myself for a very long time.
Wow. Okay. So yeah. So what was the final defining thing, do you think, that really made your mind up that, what, as much as I love what I'm doing, I think I love my purpose more, and that's calling me. There's something else calling me.
Hmm. There have been many times throughout the years where I actually did feel a sense of, although I loved what I was doing, I knew that this work was really what I was here to do. And it did make me feel sad sometimes that I wasn't doing it. It's almost like having so much of yourself being bottled up and you just want to share it. You just want to like share this information. You want to reveal your true self. So I think launching my online platform and starting to put content out there and seeing how people responded to it,
Mm-hmm.
it gave me the opportunity to just develop the confidence to know that I could move forward in it. And then I just made the full leap a year after just sharing content.
Well, that's a brave step. That really is. How did your family take you giving up the career that they must have been very proud of you doing to step into this new sort of undefined space?
It was such even a bit of an ego death for me because when you have reached a certain level of success and people saw me as the Black Wall Street girl,
Right.
and then I was now going to be the light language girl. I had to make peace within myself and understanding that the money that came with that career, the title, all of it didn't define who I was, that I was going to move forward in this new path and still be me. So I did have to go through that. And I think because even before I came to my family to let them know, hey, this is what's going on with me, I had already sold myself on it. I think they just picked, they reflected that confidence back to me.
That makes sense. You were already
I was like,
invested into
this
your
is
purpose.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no talking me out of it. And I already was seeing success in my spiritual business. So, I think they knew I would be successful.
Yes. And so that takes us probably what, to 2021, when the online podcast started and you really were
Yes.
doing this full
Yes.
time. Okay. So, now you've got you've got a great website. Your website is
Erin Lyons official.com.
excellent. Okay, well, that's been coming up on the screen now. You offer mentorship, you offer private one-to-one on there. You've got a podcast, you've got the shop with the courses. Let's just go over the courses very quickly. You've got
Sure.
Magical Money Makeover. So just
Mm-hmm.
go over that course just quickly.
Yeah, so Magical Money Makeover is a three-part channeled course where the way I see wealth ascension and money ascension is in three parts. manifestation, mindset, so overcoming the limiting beliefs about money, and then actually money management. So, of course, me having that background, I had to incorporate that in there. But I do think it's important because a lot of people struggle with like budgeting and saving. And so I also go into the energetics of those things as well.
Beautiful. And then there's the Starseed Mastery course.
Yes, that is another channeled course where several high galactic councils come in and they just explain galactic history. So they bring us up to present date with how the human race came to be and why. And they also talk about the purpose of star seeds, why star seeds are here, and this entire ascension process that is unfolding.
Excellent. And you've got more courses to come on there as well, and some that are coming soon on there as well, which is fantastic. Okay, so that's how people contact you. So just getting back into your story as well. So now, you never came into this field to not be successful and to show other people how to be abundant as well. So, you've made this on your own. You didn't need people or talk shows like me to make this. You've done this by yourself, right? And hats off to you. Honestly, really.
Thank you.
And I say this to everyone who, has made their own platforms. And you're an inspiration to so many other women out there and to men as well that want to, take that next step and live in their purpose. You've done this, and as you would say to others, you can do it too. Because you actually have a lot of channelers that come to you or want to be channelers that are sort of in the closet in a sense, and you've helped them to evolve to step into their purpose.
Yes, that is a huge part of my work, is getting other channelers and healers to the place where they can embrace this purpose fully and trust that they will be supported. Because I think the main fear we all have before we pursue this full time is, can I support myself? Can I survive? Can this really be something that I can do as a living? And I think many people also don't think that spirituality and success go hand in hand for some reason. And I help people do a lot of recoding around that belief.
So important. That is so important. Absolutely. Yeah. And how with your relationships as well, because that might be an issue for some people. Like, is someone going to be okay with me if I'm doing this work? And it's such, not that I would ever think that way, but I mean, some people do, because if they come from a family that's very religious in a sense, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So I'm in a relationship, and we're going into year 3. And so we actually met right before all of my gifts started activating at a higher capacity. And I knew it was time to step out of the closet and do this. So I always joke where I'm like, I know you didn't sign up for this, but contractually you did. But it's been great to have someone in my life and have a partner that, even if he doesn't understand it, he wholeheartedly supports me. So yeah, but I was extremely scared to tell him when all of this was happening with me, especially the galactic things, and knowing that I was going to be doing it publicly. I had to sit him down, have a conversation, and his response was, okay, that actually triggered me. Because it's almost like I was expecting to be on guard and have to do this whole explanation. And he was like, okay. And my guides had told me he's going to have a soul knowing. The same thing with my mom. These people are going to have a soul knowing, and it's just going to click. So that's how it worked.
Well, that's beautiful. And yeah, I mean, if someone loves you, they're going to accept you for who you are. And he does. And I kind of got that vibe from you in a sense that, someone was in the background, but I'm guessing that's really helped you to move forward in your work, knowing that you've got that support, because it's been really important when you look back on your journey.
For sure. I even think, had I been alone and not had a partner to lean on, the anxiety probably would have been greater. Yeah. I just think having that support made me feel safe enough to take that step.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for being so honest and sharing that as well. Yeah, that's really helpful for others. So, okay. Now you've got a number of things going on here, right? So, you've got the psychic ability. I think I'm correct in saying that. Yeah. And you've got the channeling ability. So I think some good psychics come from actually, exploring the channeling ability as well. But that's just my take on it. If you look at like people like Jane Roberts, she gave psychic readings while she was doing the Seth readings. But and I think the channeling side of her that opened up, just pushed forward the psychic capability as well.
Well, I really see channeling as a psychic ability because
Yes.
you can be receiving information that is very multidimensional. You are tapping into multiple timelines of existence, and that is, the information is not linear.
Okay, so you channel. If we just kind of sum it up, what is it that you channel? Because you do the light language, and now you've said earlier on, obviously, that that you're open to as a sort of multidimensional channel. That's my words for it, in a sense, right? But there is Archangel Metatron in the background, and and I know, I'm guessing depending who's coming to you, it sort of defines the reading. But is there a set kind of energy you're working with?
So typically, I have a set of main guides that I always call in no matter what. Um, they go by the Multiversal Council of Light. So they are literally a collective of universes, different universes. So it's a step beyond just prime source creator, and we can even say multiple sources. I channel them as a council or a collective, and then I also work with ninth dimensional Arcturian beings, and I also work with 11th dimensional Feline Lyran ancestors. Yes. So those are my main guides. And then I have Archangel Michael and Metatron, who will occasionally step forward.
Okay. So there seems to be a sort of galactic kind of starseed theme or resonance here. Let's just start with the starseed then. Why are starseeds here, do you think?
Starseeds are here to anchor higher vibrations into the earth so that the human collective has access to these frequencies that will quite literally bridge the gap into a new level of consciousness. And starseeds are also coming with the ability to work with higher frequency energy medicine like light language, which actually activates dormant DNA. So the ascending into, let's just say, the fifth dimension, it doesn't happen until you activate dormant DNA strands that would allow you to hold these multidimensional aspects of consciousness.
Interesting. So just with the light language, and we're going to have a light language session in just a bit, and we'll also have a bit of channeling as well, which is the same thing, right? But so you would say that the light language, I'm saying you would say, but the light language elevates you through healing, basically, elevates your healing. Okay.
It's a powerful healing modality because sound is the most primal form of energy. Everything within the universe is made up of sound, light, and matter. And so sound is just a really raw energy that if you were to see the sound vibrations, they would look like geometrical patterns. And then those geometrical prisms, they contain universal key codes and information that when it works with your energetic field can trigger shifts and rearrangement.
Interesting. And I think you also kind of, I'm trying not to put words in your mouth here, but there's a lot of ancestral healing, I guess, you'll do with trauma healing with people as well.
For sure, because ancestral trauma, or really any type of trauma, it's stored in our DNA. And so you might be going through certain karmic patterns that feel almost impossible to break through, but there are so many codes in your DNA that is impacting the way you think, the way you experience reality, the way you see yourself, the way you see what is possible for you. And so circling this back to the purpose of starseeds, a lot of starseeds are incarnating into lineages that have all of this heavy karma, and making the bloodline viable for ascension again. So they're neutralizing that sort of trauma-filled DNA and restoring it to a higher frequency.
Yeah, there's something about this time that you've come into your power right now. There's a big time of change right now. So many things, and you sort of came on just you sort of came into your power, with the work just after the sort of pandemic as well. I guess everything's meant to be, isn't it? Everything's the way it's meant to be. This is the time that you were supposed to come in. But I think, do you tell me as well, do you feel there's a lot more people opening up to their gifts because the world needs the help?
I think that light workers and starseeds have already done so much work where the vibration has raised to the point where people can now have access to these different versions of themselves, and it's not as dense. There's not as much density that they have to move through. And I do think the pandemic was a huge activator for many, including myself, right, where it forced people into their true purpose. I think that's really why we're seeing this huge expansion in people. I think they're calling it like the great walkout, where like people are leaving their jobs. And I think when people got a taste of that work from home life or whatever it was, they're like, I am never going back to what I was doing.
Well, I can imagine that some of the former colleagues that you had back in Wall Street, it must have changed a lot for them, some of them as well.
Yes. So I started doing this work more so towards the end of the pandemic, but yes, I mean, even in that world, things are totally different where breaks are encouraged because it can be a totally like workaholic culture. All of these systems are adapting to the new frequency. All of these structures and organizations, they're also undergoing their own ascension process.
Isn't that so true? Yeah, God, you can see it. And I guess, do you think it's a time for people to start, maybe finding that whatever's been pulling them all this time? I mean, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are living their purpose, but maybe for some people, and for a lot of people maybe, that this is a time of like, this thing, this little carrot that's been dangling there for so long that you've not been listening to. Maybe it's something bigger is calling you, your higher self is calling you to go in this new direction.
Yeah, I think desire in itself is your higher self pointing you in the direction that you need to go. And when you lean into that, as opposed to letting your chatty ego mind, just give you the runaround, you will find that all of the resources and the components that you need will line up for you when you follow that, just that it comes from the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, do you know, I get the feeling for you, it all happened very quickly, right?
So fast. It's like one day I just woke up and it's like, oh, we're a public channeler now. Cool. Oh, and you're also leaving your job. It was just so fast. And it's even funny because my guide started to tell me, hey, you only have this amount of time in this career. And because at that time I was still so into it, I was like, no, I can see like 3 years, but it ended up being a few months after that. I just started getting fully on board with it, and it just happened.
Yeah. Now, I don't see any separation between me and you. Yeah, we've got different color skin. Who cares? I mean, I've never had, for me, when you go to the soul level, everything's just the same, right? But we choose to incarnate with these different looks and different sex and whatever, right? To have these experiences, different families, of course, as well, right? But I think you play an important role in the position of, when it comes to women of color as well, that, you can help a lot of people to come into doing what they're supposed to be doing, having chosen the life that you have.
Yeah, I want to share this. I feel Source coming through right now, and Source wants to speak on this. Absolutely. And Source is just saying it was very important to be expressed as me in this particular avatar for people to have the reflection. To have the reflection, to understand that this who you truly are is not off limits to anybody. It doesn't matter your gender, your race, your sexual orientation. At the core, you are an extension of God's source. And so source is just saying there will be many others who are, also of color, who are coming into these gifts and this type of work. But this is why my soul chose this avatar, because I knew this would have the most impact.
Well, absolutely. And, and just your energy as well. I mean, you've got a great energy, and that's a kind of addictive in a sense, because, I can imagine people coming to you for healing. That helps them, because you've stood in your power. That's the thing, that's what I'm feeling right now. Do you know what I mean? And there's no bullshit about it. There's no fakeness. This is, who you are.
Mm-hmm. And for me, in having a total ego death experience and returning to God's source, understanding the soul plan of what I was here to do, that gave me the continual ability to move through some of the challenges that my reality otherwise would have presented as a person of color. Yeah. But because I always operated from a space of my I am awareness and consciousness, I just approached life with this sense of really joy and source is saying invincibility. Of just like, I can't be touched by like any of these 3D things. And this is in no way, shape, or form minimizing, experiences that people have gone through. It's just speaking from the vantage point of a higher awareness.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that as well. So I'm guessing, from what you've told me, you get a lot of women, maybe more women than men right now in some respects, for the mentorship and sort of activations and readings as well.
Yeah, primarily women are attracted to me. So women who are also, in terms of mentorship, women who are also here to channel, healers, medicine women, shamans, all types of things. And typically there's a blockage, the same blockage that I experienced of how can I show up in this? Right. How can I sit in the comfortability of this power? How can it just feels so incredibly difficult. And there's a lot of multidimensional work that goes into it. A lot of times it can be connected to past lives where you were stoned to death or you were burned at the stake. And we have to do some soul retrieval around that. But ultimately, that is the mentorship that I do.
Why is it that so many people that come into this field, whether, they're coming to you as a person with gifts, even as a medium, right? Whatever it may be, right? Whatever the gift is, right? They're an up and coming astrologer or whatever it may be, right? But there's that service to others with the kind of that title of spirituality, right, loosely attached to it, right, in the sense, like, I don't like that word sometimes, right, but you know what I mean, right? And the idea of abundance and making money from it and charging for the service. So many people have that blockage.
That's a big one. And it's so interesting. I never really had a problem with charging for my services, but it's a huge part of the work that I do with people, because I think what I usually see is the belief that once I start receiving money for this, now there's something about it that isn't as pure. There's something about it that isn't as credible, but money is just an energetic exchange. If you are using your soul's frequency and energy and your gifts and like this incredible wisdom and this healing, and you are pouring that into someone else, you're giving them that. The money just represents the exchange of how they are energetically compensating you. And so I think with charging for services, it's also deeply connected to worthiness. Am I truly worthy to receive this form of abundance?
That's so true. And how do I guess each session's different. I was going to ask you, and then how do people get past that? But then again, it's individual. It's different for everyone. But is there some sort of common threads or common blockages in a sense?
So the worthiness piece is huge. Also, feeling confident in the value that you bring to other people. And so something that I always ask my clients and my community when we're on this particular topic, are there other healers or people that you've worked with that have tremendously helped you? And was it worth it to you to pay them? And the answer is always yes. So when it's reversed and it's you in the seat as the healer, the practitioner, why would it not also be the same thing? But I think because we're all so conditioned to, I don't want the spotlight on me, little old me, I just want to do everything for free, or, that belief set, it's hard to receive. Receiving is a huge that is the main blockage, being able to receive.
Yes, that's so true. And I think, I've experimented with, giving people readings and just tuning in psychically. And I tell you what, it always amazes me when, what comes through is so accurate to the person. And you think to yourself, well, am I just cold reading you? Am I, where did that come from? And you're not doing any of that, because some of it's really, precise in a sense. It's not just, they've let nothing through, and I think it's that acceptance that you've got something that's not coming from ego, but you're just, whatever this is, right? It always amazes me. I don't know if it amazes you when you just know, and you tell, and you, well, for yourself, you've just done the reading and everything's resonated with that person, and you've given precise information about certain things, right, that only relate to them, and you don't know what, you would never have said these things to them.
It's like
right?
so random for you,
Yeah.
but for them, you see it all on their face, and they're like, they're having this like totally synchronistic moment and everything is clicking. That's what I love the most,
right?
Watching the transformation happen in real life. And in doing so many readings and one-on-one sessions over a short period of time, it made me recognize the power of my work to then be able to have that confidence to charge, because I went, oh, this actually changes people's lives.
Yeah, right. And there's a respect for the work as well. I'm sure you've got a respect for it, because you're like, wherever this is coming from, yes, we continue, or we've done this, but none of us can truly remember, do you know what I mean, in a sense? But we just know there's something much more, whatever this is. And maybe at this level, we're never going to know completely, because we've got to get on with what's here, right?
Exactly.
Not what's happening. But there has to be, I'm sure that you have a respect for it, because they're like, damn, man, this is... Yeah, this, yeah.
It's even humbling. It's deeply humbling and gratifying when you recognize that this gift that you've been keeping to yourself, and that you were even slightly insecure about. I was very insecure about being the spiritual girl, which is why I think I hid it for so long in the way that I did, because it's almost like the gifts felt like more of a burden. And once I was able to see the true impact that I could have here, that's when the relationship with my purpose shifted in a major way.
So thank you for what you just said there. So on your YouTube channel, you've actually got videos on, manifesting. You've got a number of different videos there as well, but a lot sort of do focus around, because of your background as well, money healing, money manifestation. So I would recommend that people go see some of those videos, because that's, you can get a lot from them.
Mm-hmm. So something that I do is connect with the soul of money. I channel the consciousness of money, which is really, even for myself, has been incredibly healing, because you get to understand the role that money is here playing for all of us. That money is just the same way we signed up for a certain incarnational experience. Money is also a spirit who is signed up to play the specific role that we needed it to play, to have this very unique earth game experience. And when you see that money is also a consciousness, you no longer see it as a force outside of yourself that is working against you, and you can redefine your relationship with it. You can invite it in to be a co-creator with you, that is here to expand with you and support ultimately the experience that you want to have in this time-space reality.
So when it comes to manifesting in your life, is it a case of, just asking and it's given, or is there another layer to this as well?
Yes and no. Because we're in the physical, you have to establish what I like to call wealth channels to allow money to reach you. So, for an example, if someone's working a job where they know, the income is capped, that's just what it is. Unless you get a promotion or you get a raise or something like that, that's the only wealth channel you're working with. Of course, there can be like random prize money or a settlement or something like that, but those types of things can also be more contractual. Like when people randomly stumble into a huge amount of money, it has to do with some sort of soul contract. But the way I see it is manifesting or pursuing something that is going to be the gateway for you to receive more money, right? So if I was someone who wanted to receive or create more money in my life, I would look at, okay, at work, is this going to come from a raise or a promotion? And then reverse engineer that. Okay, is there any inner shadow work I need to do that would allow me to become the person who could hold that new reality with that new level of income? Or if you run a business, what services am I offering and not offering? Where am I limiting my ability to create more money? So what I'm being asked to speak on right now is, with a lot of people who do this work, if you only offer one-on-one sessions, your income is going to be limited because there's only so many people you can meet with in a day. So you have to create and establish other wealth channels for money to be able to reach you. So you would want to take a look at your business model.
That is interesting. And that's where, for some individuals, the courses, which I'm sure there's some course that would resonate for them to want to teach. We've all got something to teach in a sense, right?
Yes.
There's so many ways that creating content nowadays, creating content that helps people, posting often and creating content that's giving back. I'm sure, is a way to find a new audience nowadays, in a sense. You've got to. There's something that you can do. There's some business that's calling you, in a sense, or aspect of, even within this field, of what you're here to offer. But like you say, if you just do the one thing, you've got to think smarter, haven't you? It's not about just asking and it will come. You've got to do the legwork as well.
Exactly.
So I guess it's what's really calling you, and please just fill in here, just jump in here in what I'm saying. It's what's calling you, and it's like you say, you're looking for multiple streams of income sometimes as well.
Establishing these wealth channels to create multiple streams of income. And I want to speak on pursuing your purpose, because you can create money from your ego, but it's so much more fulfilling and it has more sustainability and longevity when you are doing something that you love. You're infusing it with a very high frequency, which does allow you to pull in and attract the opportunities and the things that you need to become this success.
Okay, so scrap everything I've said, in a sense, because if we start with this first, this is more important. This leads to what we were talking about. So let's start with this then. When you're living your purpose, you don't care about how much you're earning sometimes, because you would do it for free anyway, right? And
exactly.
There's the space to come from, because then that is everything that we were just talking about a moment ago. Then anything you set up from that space, it's going to provide.
Absolutely. So even when I was working on Wall Street, we can look at that and we can say that was not a spiritual job, but I actually always knew that was getting me one step closer to doing this. So in always operating from this soul intention and this soul purpose, it did allow me to be successful in that space, because I was operating from my higher self. I was operating from a love-based frequency, which has a stronger they're giving me a light quotient, or the frequency of it is just more pure, and that the speed of that frequency, it just creates a momentum around you that attracts so many things.
But what is not spiritual? Isn't everything?
I agree.
Spiritual?
I know, right? Everything's spiritual.
Yeah, and there are no mistakes in a sense when you know,
Uh-huh.
if you look at it from those eyes. Some will still say there is, but it depends what on a soul contract you've come here or others have come here to learn. We can't judge whether it's right or wrong. Yes, there's a system that we live in that takes care of if you're going to do something atrocious, then there's a price to pay for it. But guess what? You chose to come to do all that, right? With free will, you didn't have to do it, but you're still there, right? So yes, come from that. Yeah, and that's the space I'm trying to come from with what I'm trying to do now. If I loved it, I wouldn't care about the money, and that's where the purpose is, and that's what a lot of people are talking about right now.
It's more about the fun and the thrill, and even creativity, the process of creating something that you get to say, wow, when I was on earth, this is what I left behind. If that's driving you more than the money, in that energy, you become a vibrational match to the money, because what does the frequency of money feels like? It feels like expansion and joy and fun and freedom. So when you're embodying those frequencies as you're pursuing this passion, that's why the money will eventually come. So anything I've ever done, I've never done it for the money. The money was actually like the last thing that I thought about. I really was just like, oh, it would be really cool to do this thing. Or I really want to do this. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to reprogram myself to think that way as well. I'm working on it. I thought I got it down, but, and I think I have been doing sometimes, I think, yeah, I did it for the money. And then sometimes I did it because it felt right at the time. But then what became purpose became a chore. And actually, not just a chore, but it just became painful because actually, I fallen out of love with it completely.
I'm so happy you're bringing this up, because even for me, sometimes in this business, I have to catch myself where it's starting to become about the content creation and how many views did this get and how many people did this reach, and it sucks the life out of it. And you have to go, whoa, 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 whoa. What is the intention? So I think for anyone who's listening to this, just always ask yourself, what is my intention? That is going to help you rebalance, reharmonize, and come from a place of purity, because we are all just children, right? We have this inner child who just wants to play and create. And that should be your main focus.
Yeah. And that's not to say for yourself that, you don't know where you're going to be in 10 years, let alone 5 years, right? In a sense, nothing's guaranteed, but you know that you're planning to do this and this, and I just feel complete excitement for what's coming for you, right? But maybe you're not ready for what would be in 5 years' time, because you've got to get to ABC. And just because someone younger gets to experience, or maybe we're looking at someone that's older as well, that's got to experience what we think we would want, it's not meant to be for us, because we got other things to do. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it? But yeah.
When you just surrender and you accept that there's this infinite intelligence that is always working in your highest favor, you can let go.
There you go.
And when I look at the moments in my life where I thought nothing was working for me and everything was falling apart, what I thought was a holdup was actually happening because something so much better that I could have never by myself thought up. And so we just have to surrender that there is always this higher plan that knows exactly where we need to be, who we need to meet. And furthermore, we don't want to miss out on that journey. It's like we want to just skip and hop to the next thing, but what about everything in between that can also be wonderful to experience on your way to where you're trying to go?
And maybe it doesn't feel wonderful at the time, but actually, it's transforming you to become the person that's never going to have some of those deeper ancestral or deeper issues that, whatever they're coming from, right? That you got to go through ABC to get to that other place where actually healed past all that crap. There is a better version of you, and just, and yeah, you just got to see it through, right? But it doesn't always feel great at the time, is what I'm saying. But when, as you say, when you see the universe from the perspective that everything is right, everything is where you're meant to be, everything is perfect, to see it from that, just flow.
And when you don't see it as being great, and you are experiencing the emotional suffering, what I'm hearing now is that's happening because you're being conditional. You're saying, without these conditions, I refuse to be happy. But what if you could just be unconditional and understand that if everything is already inside, it was never about getting this external thing anyways. This external thing was really just a reflection of the completion that you already are.
Yeah, or you're fighting yourself at some level that you don't want to go to the path that you really want to go on because you're just fighting it. Do you know what I mean? That could be happening as well, which makes it a great time. So thank you for sharing that. So I just want to move this forward as well, because I know we want to get into the channeling of this. I mean, there's so much we could talk about. Your work is pretty varied, actually, in some respects when you sort of go deeper into each part. But you do have discernment. And I guess when you do the channeling, what sort of so you're a conscious channel, but what sort of ritual do you do to sort of make sure that you're not taking any of that person's energy that you've just given a reading to into your life?
I use a process of opening and closing my channel. That's one of the strategies that I use. So I have an angelic guide who I call my divine gatekeeper, and they will pretty much vet any energies that are trying to work with me or want to work with me. And it's just a way for me to consciously set the intention before going into channeling that I am only working with the purest and the highest of love, light, consciousness. But also I do find that your frequency in itself is your highest form of protection, because if you are vibrating here, a lower being who's vibrating here, you're just not in the same frequency spectrum for the communication to occur. But that is the main, I guess we can say, protection that I use.
Yes. And I'm guessing that you have had some people come to you that, yeah, there might be some sort of, attachment there, nothing that's, overpowering them to become, wicked and evil in a way, right? But and that's just an experience as well. But sometimes people come to you and there's just something they've maybe picked up, and you're able to sort of remove that as well. We're not talking about a full exorcism, which I'm sure you can do, right? but I'm just saying that some, I've interviewed too many channelers to know that, and people with other gifts, that yes, sometimes we can have things that aren't in our best interest to be working with.
Of course, people come to me all the time, not that they're coming to get an exorcism or have attachments and entities removed, but most people do have entities and attachments in some way, shape, or form. So that's just naturally a part of the work that I do. And I know this can be a topic that is scary for many. So what I want to shed on this is, you want to see these entities or beings as your own shadow. Sometimes there is a lesson of sovereignty that you are learning. And when people come to me and they have these attachments and these entities, the best thing you can do is love them and respect them, meaning respect the role within duality that they are playing. And when you operate from that frequency, it takes you out of the frequency that would allow them to attach onto you. Because if you're embodying pure love, that's what they hate. And there's so much more to get into with that. But when you are embodying pure love, you respect, you understand their role, even if they don't, it just creates that safeguard.
Yeah, and maybe at the time when that all was happening, for whatever reason, there was a sort of vibrational match, you matched the vibration that was at, and hey, look at that vibrational match over there, that looks like some fun, and they seem quite willing. Let's have a good day. So okay, great. So so just to sort of very briefly cover that as well. So let's get into the light language as well. Well, actually, before I ask you that, and I know we're going to go over time here, right? But what is your Where would you like to see yourself? Where would you like to see yourself going with this work?
At this point in my journey, I try not to have expectations or attach on to certain outcomes, only because I know the universe has something probably far greater than what I can imagine. But I would love to go on a world tour and speak. That's something that I'm working on now, just visiting different cities and, do different workshops and just really connect with people. I would love to have some sort of TV show one day. I don't know what that looks like, but that sounds like a lot of fun too. So those are sort of like two of my those
That
are on
would
my
be
manifestation
I
bucket
love it.
list.
I love it. I love it. And I guess as well that one day you'll be thinking about bringing books out as well. I say the word
And
books, not just
books, of
one.
course,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, excellent. Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll get you back on, and it'll be interesting to see where you're at as well, because I'm sure there'll be a lot going on in the future for you, especially in the times that we live in right now. So let's just go to the light language. I think there's going to be a general message for the audience with the light language, but if you just want to just very briefly just again just explain how it will work, and because obviously for some people this may be very new.
Yeah. It's funny with light language, it's not something that I ever thought I would do or planned on doing. I met with different galactic channelers, and each one would tell me, you're here to speak light language. This is like a huge part of your work. And I would just be like, I just don't see that for me. And it just activated, and this light language just started to come through. So with light language is really sound combination frequencies that are able to unlock different components of our DNA, of our subconsciousness, of our soul's blueprint. And how we can simplify this is we're speaking English right now. It's just a bunch of sounds that we've all agreed mean certain things.
Right.
However, these sounds, we can say the English language vibrates at a certain frequency, where the sound dialect combinations that we call light language, they're vibrating at a more multidimensional frequency, which aligns us with our original cosmic blueprint. So the codes, as we call them themselves, are actually infinite intelligence. And once the sound vibration leaves me and it's working in your system, in your field, those codes know exactly what you need in the moment. This is why it's impossible to channel light language the same way every single time, because it's always going to be different depending on what's required in the moment.
Okay. So maybe, and you can just switch into that, can you? Is that pretty easy for you to? Yeah.
Yes. So I'm a light language channel, but also interpreter or translator. So as I'm speaking light language, and this is actually expanding more for me now as a gift, where I can, it's like I'm getting the direct English translation of it as I'm channeling it.
That is unique. Okay. Well, I'll just let you go into the process. Yeah. And then afterwards we'll do some channeling as well, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to tune into the intention for this transmission. So this is coming from the Multiversal Council of Light. And they're just saying it is time for the beings of this dimension to return to their pure frequency of God state consciousness, recognizing that you are God experiencing yourself in this time-space reality. And here we go. Shurukoti siakate sukutra mahikoturia laria shikatriere ketria shukutura nanabi katorelia shikatriane hikataria sukutia shukutu yurukotu rukutri shikatra mahalaria katria shukutra laria shakatriere kwaira katria balaria katriane nemihikatria shikatri laria sayakatayara mahikotru rukotre shikata. We're speaking to your soul right now. Yuru surukoti shikatra laria shikatra mahakaya kataya sakatroloro kotara mahiki kura kataria kaya kataya sakataya shukuturu surukuti yashakatari shkutrana mahaki kaya kataya si katari shakatari shukuturu sukuti shkata. Feels like we're removing some blockages around soul purpose. Shukuturu sukuti yasakati yashakatara mahakaya kataya sakara katai katri lariakar kataya sakataya shkutra mahiku durukotri ririkoto yushukutri yusukuti yasakatarana kaya kataya kaya rakataria sakata. And we are complete.
That's very unique because I don't know if I've had yet a light language channel on that, fulfills the English sort of translation as well. Do you know what I mean? As well as the vibration of the sounds. Yeah, that's very unique.
Yeah, it happens.
Oh, well, that was very good. Very good. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people I'm sure when you do that with people, they as you just sort of demonstrated there, which was sort of for the audience, that they find it very, very helpful.
Mm-hmm. And even for myself, when I started listening to other people's light language, that is when I was able to break into this purpose, because it just puts you on a different timeline and can energetically work with your system in a way that it's just moving so many multidimensional blockages and things that are holding you back. And your life can start to change very fast when you start working with light language.
Yeah, absolutely. And if, for some people they just don't get it and they don't, feel that they can't, they see it basically as just, something that would never work for them, well, then that's their path, isn't it? I mean, that's up to them.
And you are a being of free will. I always say it is up to you whether or not you choose to receive this. Or if you are skeptical of someone you are receiving light language from, you can set the intention with your higher self. I only receive the codes that are in alignment with my highest well-being. You always have this power to protect yourself. So I want to make that clear as well.
Yeah, because we had kind of had this conversation off air, and I'll be very brief with it. But the idea that, not every person that you meet in this field is genuine or is coming from that genuine space. Some people are using it to manipulate people. They may have a little bit of a gift, right, where they're able to tune in, and then they know they can manipulate it as well. Or some people are complete manipulation and they're just faking it. And this is just one of those fields which is just very sensitive to that kind of thing, obviously, because you're dealing with people that have lost loved ones, and it's pulling on heartstrings for people if they are scamming people. So yeah, and how do people discern? I guess people find it difficult to discern. Some people do, don't they? I guess they've just got to go. Most of us know how to innately discern, but it just seems that some people it's switched off for them, and I don't know why.
If someone is putting pressure on you, that's an easy way to discern that there is probably an ego-based intention that is at the core of what they are asking you to do. So if you notice a trend of, oh, there's something else we need to heal, there's something else we need to do, there's this dark entity attachment, we got to do it today, we got to do it, that people who are operating in integrity don't run their practice like that.
It's the same for some of these people that give informational sort of bombs, in a sense, where they're I've got the intel no one else has. Don't question me. It's that same kind of thing, isn't it? Just but from this perspective, what we're talking about. Yeah, when you question the energy, in a sense, or when it's trying to control, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Your emotions are energetic signals. That is how your higher self is communicating with you. So if it's stirring up fear and anxiety within you, that's because your higher self is like, hey, this is out of alignment. If it creates joy and this sense of peace, or these feelings of bliss that we feel when we do get information that's in resonance with our highest self. Yeah, that's what you want to be looking for. Is this out of alignment or not? And I can tell by the way that it makes me feel.
That is something that I will have to clip and put on my clips and TikTok channel in the future, because that's a great point. Now, that's a great way to sum it up. That's how people should be coming from, yeah. Thank you for that. I guess when you channel, like if I was to, obviously we're going to do some channeling in just a moment, right? But when you channel, do you, like for now, when we're going to do some channeling, do you know what's going to come through, or is it just?
It's a little bit of both. So sometimes it's really just my guides pointing me in the direction of information or wisdom that I already have. And then when you're in the channel, it will turn into information that you didn't have or that you don't know. So there's a multitude of ways that it can work for me.
So when you're trusting it and got past any fear, in a sense, right? Then
Yeah,
you just let it flow. Yeah,
you're in the flow, and
you.
then you're like, oh, this is definitely something else.
Yeah.
So that's typically how it works for me. I just start with what I'm intuitively picking up on or feeling. I am very clear audience, so most things are extremely telepathic with me, where I hear it. It's like a voice in the sound of my own voice, but I just know that it's not me. And that voice is giving me more information on what I'm intuitively already just knowing and picking up on. So clear audience, telepathy, and clear cognizance, where it's just a knowingness. I would say those are the main abilities that I work with. Clairvoyance, I do get mental pictures, but it's not my favorite way to work, actually.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Because everyone's so different. Do you know what I mean? It works so differently for everyone else, and I guess it it depends where you're at as well, and how much work you've done in yourself, and how many times you've done this in past lives, maybe, right? So, and I'm sure you have. But okay, so just talk us. If we're going to do some channeling now, I'll let you just talk us through your process.
Okay. So prior to getting started with this today, I already called my teams of light in. I'm already in channel, so to speak. And how it works, another way that I channel is I will rise up to the higher realms. Like I'll just visualize moving past the moon, past the sun, past the galaxy, and then I'm in the higher realms, and my guides are around me. So right now I am in the higher realm. So in my third eye, I can see it. I'm here, I'm surrounded by light, and you can ask a question. We can do this however you want to do it.
Okay. So this is how it would be in a client session. You would just go straight in. Well, you would have done that work with a client session. Then maybe you would have done that work of connecting prior to the session starting. Okay. Again, very different. Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting. All right. Well, is there a message, is there any sort of message you feel pulled to say? I mean, I don't want to put you in a corner to say if you don't feel that, but just, is there any sort of message for even for the general audience? That's what, whoever it's for.
This is source. This is source. And dear ones, we visit with you here today to remind you that you are the creator, and you are simply experiencing the vastness of your own infinite nature. You are exploring and experiencing different levels and layers of consciousness. We are visiting with your dimension here and now to create a sense of peace on your journey, no matter where you are right now, no matter if you feel like things are not going in the way that you would like. We bring you back to this pure place of knowing that you are simply experiencing yourself. There is nothing outside of yourself, so there is nothing to fear. Everything is within you. All infinite possibility exists within your own beingness. And when you allow the love and the joy of experiencing this time-space reality to become your dominant point of attraction, that will change the way you experience this reality, because many of you at this time are experiencing this reality through the lens of feeling trapped, feeling like this is a prison, feeling like this is a bad place. But we invite you into knowing that this is a place of immense value, immense beauty, immense expansion. The only thing that's going on here is that your soul is expanding, and you get to have fun. You get to approach this from a place of playfulness and joy, and that will open up so many quantum potential timelines for you as you embrace that new frequency. That is what they would like to share.
That's kind of like a lot that we were sort of touching upon before as well, which I could tell that you were bringing something through before in some aspects. Yeah. So the more joyful it feels, the more we're in the right sort of direction as well. I mean, sometimes for some of us, we may have to be doing some things that maybe aren't so joyful, right? Because not everything's joyful. But then, actually, is it? Actually, even if we're doing a job that's not joyful, actually, any task that we feel is not, we can find the joy in anything.
That is what it means to be unconditional. That is what all of your experiences are always triggering you into, pushing you into, to recognize that it was never about the condition. It was only about the level of consciousness that you were bringing to that experience. When you bring love to an experience, when you bring joy and appreciation to an experience, you are the one who transforms the experience, because that experience will just show you what you as the creator has said that it is. Reality doesn't have a mind of its own. You are reality, creating reality and experiencing yourself as that reality. So if you don't understand something and it feels difficult, but you call it a gift and you say, well, this is a gift. I don't know how, but it's a gift. It will transform into a gift, and that will be your experience of it.
Yeah, that's a nice and different way of looking at it. And I know that's come through in so many other people, that same message in a different way. I think it's, maybe I see the importance of that more than I did before, doing these interviews more and more over the years. Yeah, no matter what your circumstances, I keep going back to it, don't I? But no matter, because, we can blame it on so many things, can't we, that we're not enjoying life.
The circumstances are simply showing you what is beneath the surface. The circumstances are showing you where your vibration has been. It's giving you feedback. Your reality is always giving you feedback about who you believe yourself to be. And that is a process that is inescapable, but that is also a process that we do see many of you getting stuck in repetitive cycles, because you don't want to make friends with the reality. You want to push against it. You have to start saying and asking, well, what is my reality showing me about me? Where can I shift? Where can I change? That is how you become a master of playing this game of creation.
If we use our imagination and imagine that which we think is calling us, right? And imagine what it would feel like, and imagine, just all the nuances of what having that experience would be like. And do we need to experience it really to know if there's something beyond that's not that, and it's actually the next thing beyond that?
Well, yes, you are a being of continual expansion. You are in a state of perpetual expansion and movement forward. So you have to experience that which you recognize that you do not prefer, to become consciously aware of what it is that you do prefer. And from our higher vantage point, we are experiencing everything simultaneously. So you and your level of awareness and at your level of consciousness through your human perception, you are having a very fine-tuned experience of reality that allows us to savor that particular aspect of reality. That's why the human experience is so precious and dear to us, because we get to savor the details. We get to come down to earth, so to speak. And when you understand that, for you to come to the next conclusion, the next idea, for the next desire to be born inside of you, there is a bit of sifting and sorting that has to go on. When you embrace that as a part of the creative process, you will free yourself from suffering. So what we leave you with is this for all of you: nothing is missing. Nothing is lacking. All of the suffering that you have ever experienced is because you believe that something is lacking, and it's not. It exists in a different parallel reality that you only need to become a frequency matched to quantum shift and experience. And so they're wanting me to give this example of when people look in their bank account and they don't see the amount of money that would allow them to feel safe. And they say, well, the money is missing. And because they are saying the money is missing, the reality keeps showing them that the money is missing, but not because energetically or on a quantum level that experience of reality is lacking. It's just, as the creator, that is what they keep creating. So everything that all of you want to experience is available to you. And you have to find a way to harmonize with the quantum version of yourself that's already immersed in that experience of having it.
So really, it's a mind shift, isn't it? So it's a thinking shift. It's a love shift to yourself to want to come from that other space and say, well, let's not look at what's not there. Let's intensely believe in what that I can get there, and that I am worthy of getting there, and I'm going to do the work to get there, and I'm going to get everything I want. And yes, you've got to do the legwork, right? But even that is a shift in perspective, isn't it? Into turning it around.
Here's another example that they have me use often. When you're watching TV and you're watching your favorite show or program, and at a certain time you decide, I want to change the channel, AKA change the frequency, and you change it. And then you get a new show, a new picture, you're watching this new channel. It doesn't mean that the previous program you were watching is not still playing. That's how it is for reality, that all of these infinite parallel realities are existing simultaneously. And this version of you is happening in the quantum. It is a parallel self. But you have to go through a process that would allow you to become that parallel self. And then you merge with that timeline. And the version that you are now will still be playing on this frequency, on this channel. But it's all here and now. It's all available now.
So you're sort of jumping to a different version of yourself in the conscious sense, not physical sense, right? You may wake up one morning and everything looks the same, but there's maybe slight differences, right, that you can't put your finger on. But actually, you've shifted. You're not in that. You're not in that reality consciously that you were. So you was on channel 1, channel 3 before, but now you're on channel 4 in a sense, right?
All of you who are watching this, you are going through a set of quantum timeline shifts. It happens every second that you're in a new timeline, you're in a new reality. Even if it's a molecule or an atom off or different, it is a different timeline within infinity. And that is what we are all doing. We are surfing through and exploring these infinite frames within existence.
But the me that was on channel 3, for example, is still there. But why is this version of me then able to pinpoint to channel 4 in a sense? and yet, sorry, not pinpoint, but be focused on channel 4? Is it, as the version from channel 2 gone to number 3? Do you know what I mean? Do we all shift together?
We shift individually because you are your own universe. You are your own universe. So you are. They're saying it's hard for the human mind to grasp this concept of the infinity, that when we say infinity, we truly mean there is no end to the combinations of reality. So you woke up this morning and like there's this reality where I chose to wear a black shirt, you chose to wear that gray shirt, but there's a parallel reality where we both chose to wear something different. And for whatever reason, this is the frequency that we were tapped into, and this is what we are experiencing, but it's infinite.
But that would mean that the soul is so vast that what's another word for the soul? But the overarchingness of the soul, if the soul was a necklace, and the individual lives are almost like the pearls on the necklace, right? Necklace, that thing that's keeping it all together, it's huge. It's unimaginable, and if that's for each individual, but I'm getting into things here that I can't get my head around. But and then we say that we're all one in a sense, right? But there is this individuality going on. Yeah, I don't want to get too much into it, right? Because but I suppose just even to present this to show how vast and how much you have in your life as a toolbox to be able to get to where you want and to believe in yourself.
Yes. Understanding your quantum nature is a profound part of the human collective ascension process that is happening now. Understanding that the reality that you are experiencing is no more than subatomic matter that has is vibrating at a certain frequency that allows you to have this physical experience. But all subatomic matter simply reorganizes and rearranges itself based on your I am state of consciousness, because you are the creator. That seems to be their main message today, is truly understanding that as the creator, all of creation is responding to you on a quantum level.
Yeah, I think the analogy of the channel shifting is a great way to, for me anyway, and hopefully for many others, to break yourself free of the thinking of how, I've only got this much, right? Yet I'd like to experience this, and just to believe that you can change the channel, right? And that the other channels exist, right? Yeah.
It's literally, sorry, they're just showing me right now. They're like, yeah, pick up the remote and change the channel. Or they're like, if you want to stay in this timeline experience, maybe you can fast forward a little bit. Or they're just being like silly right now.
but for those as well that are on a certain channel, right, and they're not sure which channel to go to, they just can't find their purpose in a sense. They think it's one thing, and then it's not that, and then today we're back on this. It's channel 5. Now, you know what, I want to do channel 10 and 11, right, and be doing what I'm doing, right? But if you're in such a state of not knowing, or it's always changing for you, because I'm sure some people are affected by that. Do you know what I mean? That they think it's this. Is it? What is it?
We understand that the process of self-discovery can oftentimes be tiresome and frustrating for many. However, when the fullness of your purpose is ready to blossom, you will understand why you had to go through that sifting and that sorting, as this dear one here now who is channeling this information has experienced for herself. There were so many years where she did not understand why we had her go through certain experiences and be in certain places. And when everything started to come together, she had a profound realization that it was all a part of her soul's journey and what would allow her to do this work. So it does require an immense level of faith and surrender. And the message that we bring forward today as well is you can go through that while still being in joy. And that is the point that we want to make, that it doesn't have to feel like suffering. It can feel beautiful as you continue to expand into more.
That's an important, really important part of it as well, and especially those words of like flowing and just trusting and keep going forward. But what other choice have we got? Do you know what I mean? Right? But yes,
Yeah.
to trust in that as well. That's so important. Thank you so much for that as well. And we'll have to stop this in just a bit, because obviously time is not on our side, and I'm conscious of that as well. So in the times, or speaking about times, in the times that we live in right now, what is important about the times that we live in right now? What would be a message about the time of great change and the change to come that we're living in right now?
Love. You are all on a unique journey. You are experiencing a unique aspect of creation. And as you are expanding into unity consciousness, we would like you to know that it's not about getting everyone to believe the same thing. It's about accepting and holding compassion no matter what experience someone is having. So our wish for you is that every being that you come into contact with, you say to yourself, oh, that is God, who doesn't remember that they are God. They are simply on an exploration through consciousness. I honor their journey. Because if you examine your collective history, every time you've tried to get everyone to agree to very specific things, it does not work, because the soul is on a unique journey. Honor your differences, and that is what will create the experience of unconditional love between you.
Very interesting. That's a really important message as well, I think. Yeah. And I think again, summarizing everything that we've spoken about right now, it really does come to that when you live in your purpose, you change your life. That has to have, and I believe this is the message in everything we're talking about throughout this whole interview, that has to have a ripple effect to the whole world in some ways that we just don't understand, and in the lives that we touch. So if yes, the world is going through a great change, but to work on yourself and to do what we've talked about on this show, which is living in purpose, actually is the change in the world that you're looking for.
Yes. And you all discount how important your purpose is. It can be something as simple as, I'm meant to own a bakery, and maybe when someone's in your bakery, they experience a sense of peace that they don't experience anywhere else, and that is your purpose. That is your contribution to the collective. That is how you are creating the bridge into the fifth dimensional timelines that encompass love and unity. Do not discount your purpose. It is beyond what the mind can know, but what your heart can know infinitely.
That is also a message. You see a lot of these new sort of self-help people. I'm probably using the wrong words there, but for someone like, I've mentioned his name before, but like Gary Vaynerchuk or people like him, where it's all about giving. It's all about helping people, being of service is what the business is about, and it will provide. But people like him, there's so many more coming from this energy now of it's about service, and that which relates to the bakery business being of service, in the sense that you had that experience there and it just made the day better, whatever that experience was, whatever the company offered, in a sense, right? But whatever, or maybe, and that bakery is just one example of being in service. It could, I always say, it could just be being the best mum you can be, or the best dad you can be, that's or being of service to the corporation that you work for.
It is beyond your understanding. They're saying like it's beyond our understanding, the impact, the vibrational impact of everything that we are here doing. And they're ending it with this, just because I know many people they have spiritual businesses and maybe they feel like they're not getting the reach that they would like, or things aren't working, they aren't making money. They're saying you have to go into the realm of vibration, the realm of energy. What is the vibrational impact of your work? Even if you work with one person, you've shifted them on a level that then allows them to shift in their relationships and how those people are impacted. And it is infinite. It is truly infinite.
And only you could have done that. And if you compare that even to like podcasters, like, oh my God, he's got this bigger audience than me, right? Just as another analogy of it, right? Well, actually, he's reaching people that you can't reach. You're reaching people that, and vice versa, right? And so you're all playing part of the, that bigger game, in a sense, that bigger part of the picture, and not to see it as competition. We all have a different teacher or someone, a different healer to go to, right? And that's another way maybe of analogizing it. So yeah, thank you for that. Well, I'll let this session close and just thank you so much for that energy coming through.
Thank you. You are all immensely loved, they're saying. Immensely loved.
Well, Erin, that was very powerful. I think this whole interview sort of led to that moment, in a sense. Do you know what I mean? And I truly appreciate you coming on today and sharing the work that you're doing. And it's really interesting to see you at this beginning part of your career, even though it feels like you've been doing it for a lot longer than probably in year wise is that you've been doing it. So your website is
Erin Lyons Official. I can email you. I'll email you all of my website, Instagram, and TikTok.
Well, we'll put those in the description below. Any of the courses, anything we've kind of spoke about that's linkable, I'll put it below today as well in the description. Just go to show more. And obviously, if you listen to this on a podcast, you can just go to Erin's website. And again, I just want to thank you so much for coming on today.
Kevin, thank you. I mean, the work that you do is just incredible. So I'm really appreciative that I was able to be here. Thank you so much.